Hey, welcome into another edition of Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles from Yale, Alabama. I am Lance Taylor from The Next Round right here on Roll Tide Pods. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you like bourbon, you like Alabama sports. This is the podcast from you, or for you. We are going to drink a little Hirsch today. I don't know. We're into the month of March now. Yeah. Spring is here. This is very spring coloring. Typically don't see it with bourbon, do you?
I kind of thought we were getting a gift from Tiffany's when he pulled this out of the bag.
Yeah.
It's almost that Tiffany blue.
You see this a lot with I don't want to say pastels, but some of the brighter colors when you're talking about packaging for tequila, which is really popular as well.
I can see that
in this space. But Hirsch, I've never heard of it. Know nothing about it. You?
I have not. I did look at the back. It's made out of Indiana, bottled in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Here are my tasting notes. Let's see here.
Is Hirsch? Is that German? Is that a German name?
Hirsch the Horizon honors their forward-looking nature, steadfast, determined, moving onward at a brisk pace. Forever in search of the next adventure. The horizon isn't an end result, a destination on a map. It's something we spend our lives in search of. So it's 5 years, 3 months. Mash bill, 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% barley. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a go. Proof. 92, a little light for us this year, right?
Well, you said the weather's starting to turn here a little bit, so we're getting a little warmer. How great was this past weekend?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, look, and we had a March Madness-like finish in Knoxville at Bowling Thompson at Food City Center.
Which, I'll tell you, I didn't get to watch. I was watching my two sons. Didn't get to watch a second of that game.
Now, how old are the boys now?
4 and 2, and they are both at the age where
you have to watch.
They're like endorphins fire when they're wrestling with me.
Okay.
So, I mean, when they're in the house with me, we're wrestling.
Okay.
Pretty much. So
I still remember that with the old man, and I could feel I used to think the stubble was crazy.
They hate it. They hate it. Like, they'll tell me, Daddy, your face hurts. But I knew something had gone wrong when my phone started blowing up, and it was just one-word expletives. I'm like, uh-oh. Something didn't go right for Alabama.
Yeah, in that game in Knoxville, they just kind of controlled the entire game, and then kind of a meltdown on the final sequence, and Meshack hits the walk-off, and...
Here's the thing, and when I said I didn't watch a second of it, I didn't watch any of it live. I've seen the replays of the game-winning shot. How do you not pressure him coming up the floor?
So
3.5, 3.8 seconds left, you let him get a clean look?
Yeah, Nate talked about that. At that point, what do you do in that situation? Had the wrong personnel in, had a lot of length in, and didn't have, a lot of guards that would have... in that situation, you don't want them to even get it to the timeline.
Yeah. And you let him get a free look. Look, and I'll say this about Nate. He owned the moment. He said, I let my team down in the last 30 seconds. I think that's accountability. When you ask your players to be accountable, when you ask your players if you're not going to say you're not going to play defense, you're not playing, you have to be accountable. And I think I was good on Nate.
Bama and Bourbon always brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag. How about this? Put in the code next round. We're about to roll into March Madness. You want to get on board here. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Mybookie.ag. Very important. Use that code. Next round also brought to you by the Beverage Place Pink Package. We'll give you more information on those guys, Chan and JJ. They are providing the Hirsch Horizon here, which... I'm getting for a 92. I'm getting a little explosion right here.
Really? Because it's very mellow to me.
Really?
Yeah.
It was mellow going down, but now it's kind of expanding.
Maybe you took a bigger gulp than I did.
Maybe I did, but 92. I mean, I don't want to call it child's play, but
no, we have a refined palate with this.
So they say the palate is balanced with warm notes of cinnamon and oak. I get a little cinnamon. Can you get the oak?
I always get oak.
Things. I'm not great at tasting as the oak.
I don't taste anything generally. Because you can tell me that every bourbon or whiskey had cinnamon, vanilla, and oak, and I'm like, yeah. I get all that every time.
Every time.
But I don't get all the other
I've got 2 friends that can't smell at all.
Okay.
And so you just wonder how much it does. It's got to affect the tasting, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Isn't that and I got a weird thing when I eat. If I take a bite of if you brought me a food right now, I would smell it before I ate it. And to me, it's like biology.
Anything? Yeah. Like even pizza?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think for me, it's I want to make sure it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's like biological to me.
Yeah, I'd like to see who your ancestors were back in the day.
No, I don't do it on the second bite because I know it's good.
Did you have a bunch of explorers? Like who was it? Was it Hugo Glass? Who did Leonardo play in the Revenant? where they were just eating like raw meat and damn winter, and he ate a heart and stuff.
Yeah, could have done that.
I can understand putting your nose into something like that. I typically, if I'm in a restaurant,
it saved me a couple times with bad milk though.
Okay.
So
I will smell milk if it hasn't been opened. Yeah. I will definitely check that out. Hey, tell us about the collective before we actually take a deep dive into Tennessee, Alabama.
Exciting times at yay-alabama.com. We had the first practice access that for the spring for football that opened yesterday. We had Clinton Dix mic'd. He's walking around. He's chatting up the guys. Tell us a little bit about what we're watching. Had an interview with Ryan Grubb yesterday that's up at yay-alabama.com, and got another one coming out on Wednesday with the defensive coordinator, Kane Womack. So things are rolling at yay-alabama.
Okay, awesome. Very important to be part of the collective. Not only are you part of the team, but you're helping to build, hopefully, another Alabama championship sooner than later. You saw what it took for Ohio State. Big numbers they tossed around this year. They ended up closing the deal. It's exactly what you guys are trying to accomplish there at Yay Alabama. So we'll get into Tennessee, Alabama. We'll talk a little hoops, and then I do want to go circle back to the first couple of days of spring practice. So Grant Nelson has struggled offensively. He's doing everything else. Obviously, you need his length, his experience. He's playing good defense, but he's missing shots right now. Do you think this is a concern?
Not really. I mean, because he's made big shots before. I think almost everyone has sort of ridden this roller coaster this year. We've seen it. You name a player. I mean, I guess the most consistent would be Mark Sears, right?
But he look at 2 games.
He put up a couple goose eggs. Yeah. So the freshman, LeBaron, he has struggled. He was banged up a little bit. We've seen it a little bit with Aiden. We've seen it. Chris Youngblood took a while to get going. We've seen it all year with Jaron. So I'm not super worried because he's an experienced player. There are different ways that he can score and affect the game. Here's where I'm at on this, and I don't know what you guys think on the next round. It's a little, I'm not going to say troubling, concerning. I do find it odd that in the closing moments, how does Alabama get caught with it's not the right? Are they playing too many guys? I guess is what I'm saying. Hey, do you have too many guys? So there's too much of a rotation. How have you not found that?
Well, and you actually had a timeout. I don't think I think the depth is obviously a positive for Alabama. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, how the bench minutes seem to shrink a little bit once you get into March for certain people.
But do you think that's? I don't think that's going to be the case for Alabama.
Yeah, I don't think so. And back to Grant Nelson, you don't necessarily have to have it, but I think in order for Alabama to have the special run in March, to win a championship, I think Grant Nelson's offense has got to show up. Just my opinion. I love the 3-guard lineup. I love the fact that Jaron Stevenson's coming off the bench now, and you've got Youngblood and Philon along with Sears. I think that is the lineup that is going to work down the stretch. Yeah. But Alabama shoots 41%. They're 9 of 24 behind the arc. They miss 9 free throws, 65% from the line there. So, I mean, you kind of understand when you're playing a really good defense like Tennessee on the road, how you lose a game like that. Unfortunately, the way it played out in the final moments wasn't the problem.
Well, and again, someone told me that Alabama was up 3 at the free throw line with 30 seconds left.
Game's over. Yeah.
And regulate. So it's sort of like a comedy of errors, but you're not going to kick them when they're down. Coach owned the mistakes that he made. He didn't put it on anybody else. He put it on himself. That's accountability. That's responsibility, and that's what you want out of your head coach.
Okay, so this is an exciting time of year, obviously. Yeah. I'm very OCD trying to just place these things all over the place. I've still got to check out is the Bourbon bar finished?
It's done.
Okay. Yeah. I need to come by and check that out. One of the exciting things about March, though, is SEC tournament coming up, which we will be in Nashville next week. So explain to us, Auburn is already penciled in. They will not play until Friday.
Correct.
For Alabama to get that second double bye up until Friday, what do they have to do? So
they need to win one game. If they win one game, they are locked into a double bye.
Very difficult games, by the way. Florida and Coleman, and then Neville.
But there's another way. If they go 0-2, they just need Missouri to slip up.
Who does Missouri have on their final 2 games?
Missouri has, I looked at this yesterday. I should remember this. I want to say
I'll pull it as we do this.
There's one. I want to say there's one, but remember Missouri just lost an overtime game to Vanderbilt this weekend. That gave Alabama a little breathing room to keep that double bye, which you want if you want.
By the way, man, Dennis Gates, the job he has done,
incredible. 0-18 was 0-18 last year in the SEC?
And now they're the team that is in the mix for a double bye, right? Missouri, it looks like they have got
Kentucky, I think.
They go to Oklahoma, a desperate Oklahoma team, by the way, and then they've got Kentucky to close out the season in Columbia. They'll split. They'll lose
so that's
a game.
all Alabama needs. Alabama needs to either win one of the last 2 games or have Missouri lose one of their last 2 games. If Alabama goes 0-2, Missouri goes 2-0. Missouri's got the head-to-head over Alabama. Missouri will have that double bye. Alabama
and I don't know how important it is. I'm just trying to schedule. We're coming up as a group here on the next round for the tournament, and I don't think we're coming up till Thursday night now, just because both in-state teams more than likely not play until Friday. But we'll be broadcasting, if you guys are interested, from Losers downtown. We will be on their outside upper deck. Okay. I think that's the plan. So
I'll be at the team hotel, and I think, we got to get there early for content stuff. So I think I'll be in there on Wednesday.
Okay. Well, look, I've always said, man, the SEC basketball tournament is so much fun. And I can't even imagine.
I'm so glad they moved it to Nashville. It stunk perfect in Atlanta.
Oh, it did.
Stunk out loud.
Well, it was a bad building. Now, if
there's nothing around it to do.
No, there's not. And Nashville absolutely can walk everywhere. The excitement, and this year, man, with what the SEC is.
Yeah. Nashville's a perfect spot for it. I know they've played it where? They've played it Tampa.
They played
in St. Louis.
They played in St. Louis 1 year.
Yeah. I don't go to Texas. Nobody wants to go to Texas. Its perfect home is in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, they'll ride it in Dallas. I don't know what the year is, but Nashville's perfect for it.
Although I have fun in Dallas, but I'm just saying
Now, Atlanta, back to the SEC football championship weekend, and this lost luster just based on the circumstances now, the 12-team playoff. But that was always a great standalone weekend, and it was downtown.
It's just not a lot to do around it.
No, there's not. But this tournament should be fantastic in Nashville, so can't wait to get up there.
Here, what is your theory? I say if I'm Auburn, I don't want to play this Sunday. Listen, as a competitor, you want to win. I want the fresh legs, man.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that, It's not like you can go and say, hey, guys,
you're right. There's no way to do it.
So you just let them play.
And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, and look, Auburn's going to be the number 1 overall seed, whatever happens.
They deserve it, man. What a hell of a season they've had.
Man, I mean, for that team to only have 1 loss in this conference, and we're talking about teams like Oklahoma and Texas that are, 4 or 5 games below 500 getting at-larges. It just shows you what Bruce Pearlin...
He's got to be National Coach of the Year, right?
I think it's going to end up being Rick Pitino.
I could see that.
Yeah, just based on the fact that they haven't had an outright Big East championship since the 80s. It's been 40 years.
I wouldn't have a problem with Pitino winning it, but I would vote for Bruce.
Yeah, well, so either one of those guys should be 1-2. Yeah. Now, Dennis Gates is another one that should get consideration. When you go from 0 and anything to being a top 15 team, that's pretty impressive. So this is starting to warm up on me a little bit. Hirsch the Horizon.
Son is... I had a little bit of a stigma in my mind when I saw the label.
The label? But you know what? Okay, so Bullet is one of I named my dog Bullet, spelled it the bourbon way. But Bullet is one of those bourbons that I like that's a really good price point, and it's got the orange label, and I'm just used to it now.
Orange reminds me of fall, though, which kind of puts me in a bourbon mood. I don't know, there's something about that brightness.
I know you're doing this to kind of stand out, to jump a little bit.
But you're going to. I mean, that's going to stand out. But it's better than I thought it would be.
Do you think it's a little sweet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably, and I said it early, and it's definitely cleared up. And maybe I just got a big choke of it. But this is, I don't want to say, well, maybe. I mean, this is kind of a starter bourbon.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it seems like it's got good quality, good weight on the bottle. I don't know what this price point is. I'm going to guess $40 a bottle, maybe 50.
Probably 40, 50, yeah. Everything pretty much is 40, 50 now.
We were talking to Ron Slay about the SEC tournament. Brown's like, what's your, well, I asked him, he was talking about bourbon, because we were saying something, maybe we were promoting Bama and bourbon going into the interview, but he's like, man, I love bourbon. So Brown was like, what's your favorite bourbon? He said, Blanton's. He's like, I can't get it up here because of the allocation. Yeah. So I called Chan. He's like, we've got 1 bottle at the Bev place right now for $120. So now Brown's on the hook to take up Slay.
That's a high price for Blanton's. I get it. It's tough to get.
Well, you're watching Paradise right now. That is Wildcat, played by James Marsden, the president of the United States. That is his go-to bourbon on there, Blanton's. I like Blanton's.
I like Blanton's. Yeah. Listen, we've talked about it. I'm a big stan of anything from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and that's one of their top of the tree.
Yeah.
Bama and Bourbon always brought to you by the Beverage Place. I mentioned Chan. They've got that bottle of Blanche if you want to steal it out from under Brown right now. Located right next to the PGA Superstore, right off of Highway 280. Pink package, located across from the Target next to Arby's on Highway 280. One-stop shops, liquor, beer, seltzers, wine, sodas, mixers, cigars, ice, even fresh lemons and limes. They open early, close late. Get in, see JJ Chan. Tell them the guys from Bama and Bourbon sent you. Make sure you like, subscribe, give us that thumbs up. But yeah, I am liking this.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little spring football.
Let's do it.
I mean, is the biggest presence out there right now? Well, I know the biggest storyline is going to be quarterbacks.
100%.
But because Ryan Grubb, the relationship him and Kalen DeBoer have, now coming over from the Seattle Seahawks, I mean, is that kind of the guy everybody's looking around and saying?
Yeah, I got to interview him yesterday. I've done 2 stories with him. I'm really impressed with him. I mean, now I say that strictly from a ability to communicate standpoint, but that's all coaching is the ability to communicate.
Yeah, to me, those are the guys that actually make the best coaches. You know, because your ability to communicate, it goes to every facet, and especially recruiting. Yeah. Just without communication, things are dead, literally.
And you guys have done this on the radio. Sometimes you if a guy's got a great personality, you leave the interview feeling great, and then you go back and listen to it and realize they didn't say anything. They just gave me a bunch of coach speak, but they smiled a lot and they told a couple jokes, and so you're like, well, he killed it, and you go back and well, he didn't say anything.
Yeah, and then for the listener, maybe it wasn't that good because what do you really get out of it?
But you're feeding off the energy, so you're like, we killed it. Now, every time I've gone back when I've interviewed Grubb, I'm like, damn, he actually said some stuff and didn't give me just a bunch of coach speak. Like, he got some stuff across. He said it in a very controlled way to control the message, but he just communicated brilliantly. And so
that's what Saban always was.
Yeah, I just found it really. I've enjoyed both times I've talked to him.
Yeah, and look, and I think Alabama fans are. Again, I think it was really not unfair. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is making a ton of money. I thought the transition would be a little smoother. I understand. Why they went 9-4 and how that all played out. But I think this is like the perfect ingredient for year 2 is Ryan Grubb.
And it comes down to the quarterback.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. I mean, so what are you going to get as far as reps for these guys? I mean, Ty Simpson, obviously based on time that he has put into the program, I get that he's kind of the de facto 1 right now, but Austin Mack is a guy that Ryan Grubb loves.
And had a year under him. Yeah. They've already had a year together.
And Russell, now that we've got true freshmen that don't act like true freshmen, that play like guys that have been in the system for 3 or 4 years, I don't think people are going to be shocked. I think there is a segment of people that are pulling for the true freshmen.
100%. Look, and I realize anything that I say is going to have some air of officialness to it. It doesn't. Like, what I'm saying on this show is my opinion.
Like Greg Burns told Aaron Suttles, when you go on Bama and Bourbon, I need you to relay this message.
Yeah, and Coach DeBoer is not asking me to push anything. I agree with you. I think the long-term future looks like Keelan Russell. And that doesn't mean it's this year, but he just looks like he's got
that's what you want. When you go out and sign a 5-star quarterback that has all these accolades, I mean, you want him to be the future of your
program. I watched him throw yesterday, and I was surprised. Alabama actually put out some video.
Can he spin it?
He can spin it. He's got a good arm.
How big is he? Because he's put on weight, 15 pounds since he got on campus?
I think someone said he's 190.
Okay.
Now, did you check the number, by the way?
I did not.
Number 12.
Oh, wow.
That number's got some history at Alabama,
I was going to say, so going back all the way to Joe Namath, right?
Yeah.
Who else was 12?
Was Stabler 12?
I think Stabler was 12.
Brody 12?
AJ was 10, right?
AJ was 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brody
Mac
was 10.
Was 10. So that.
Do you think he knows the history of this?
Kids don't.
Yeah.
No, but I just
12
think.
was such an old school quarterback number. That was probably like the go-to quarterback number when I first started watching football because I think Bradshaw and Staubach were both 12s, I think. I know Bradshaw was. I think Staubach was a 12.
But to answer your question, he's every bit as tall as me. And he's got the frame to add size. He just looks like an athlete. Now.
And he can move, right?
I'm telling you, just on the hoof, Austin Mack, if you stood next to him, that's a big boy.
Well, I've heard he's got a size 16, 17
That's
foot.
a big guy. And, I think, he's got the year under the system at Washington with Grubb. There's some familiarity there. I think Ty's going to get in the first round.
Let's say that you had some kind of crazy significant injury. Do you think Alabama is comfortable playing a guy like Austin Mack now?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think there's not a quarterback that you feel so good that they bring one skill set that you can game plan around that would prohibit any of the other guys from playing. I think if one guy's having a bad game and the other guy's proof capable in practice and scrimmages that you feel okay, they would put him in there.
Okay, so here was one storyline that I talked about last week, or at least I was asked, do you want to refill?
I'm good.
What is one of the things you want to see? And quarterback's going to be, that's just the way it is unless you have that established guy coming back. But mine was, you've had so many great receivers, throughout the tenure of Nick Saban. Who is that third guy? Ryan Williams and Jerry Bernard are going to be 1-2.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a significant storyline?
Isaiah Horton from Miami?
Miami, yeah.
Everyone's talking about. I can't pronounce his first name. Is it Lotzier Brooks?
Yeah,
the freshman from Miami made a big catch. No, it's highlighting the first day of practice, but people are running with it. I do think that Isaiah Horton, given the fact that he got some valuable playing time on a team that was pretty good last year in Miami, that would give him sort of the leg up, but. Derek Meadows is a freshman. It's a big target. Now, it's a freshman. You never want to project anything for a freshman, but standing next to Derek Meadows, that's a big kid. And by the way,
but watching I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, in moments, what they were able to do as true freshman receivers. So I'm not going to discount.
That's true. We live in a different age now. And Amari did it in 14 for Alabama.
Yeah, and one of the biggest catches in Alabama history, Devontae was true freshman.
Yeah, so these guys are. I think the rise of 7-on-7 fast forwarded the growth of these guys exponentially. But Derek Meadows, have you ever seen a wide receiver wear number 30?
No. Now, maybe you go back to when they really basically didn't have a forward pass, maybe. Yeah. When you had the old H-back slash
I'll do a little, do what we in the business call a tease. I got a story. There's a reason he wears it.
So this will be the official number he wears this fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he wears it for a reason. I'll let you guys know.
Can you tell me the last 30 to score a touchdown for the Alabama Crimson Tide?
I don't know if I can tell you another 30.
Was Tim Castillo 30? He was.
Was Dante Hightower number 30?
Maybe. He had a interesting number for a linebacker. It might have been 30.
It was 30.
Maybe.
Yeah, so he was probably the last.
Did he score one?
He probably did score.
Probably. Okay, defensively, what are you looking? Because I think
there's a lot to like.
Kane Womack going into the season, the first month after the Vanderbilt game, I think people were ready to run him off.
Yeah.
And really, the strong unit for Alabama, the more consistent was defense. And I think what you've got coming back, and Jahad Campbell, good good for him, what he's doing in Indianapolis
4.5,
right
230.
Yeah.
His long jump was like over 10 feet.
He's going to be a top 20 guy now, so really good for him.
He was back in practice yesterday.
Okay, awesome.
Great kid, man. You just can't help but root for a guy like
it's those guys when they get back from working out, getting ready, because I saw this in spring a couple of times. Those guys, it's almost like a rejuvenated person that, it's almost like a bride getting ready for their wedding.
Yeah.
It's like they're in such good shape. They're at their top of their game.
6 to 8 pounds at the combine simply because there's no time to eat.
Damn.
He weighed in at 235.
And that's a good looking 235.
That moves like that.
Yeah. So
but no, to your question, I got high hopes for this defense. It starts up front when you get Jamarian Latham back. You got Tim Keenan back. If James Smith, who's I think the ceiling's really high on him. I think if it ever clicks for him with consistency and doing all the little stuff to take his game to the next level, I think he's a player. You got Overton is back.
LT Overton, yeah.
You got D-Law back at inside linebackers. You got Justin Jefferson due to the 6 year of eligibility with the JC ruling. He'll be back. So I like the front seven. I think if there's a question, it's on the outside. And then, they're breaking in some new defensive backs. They lost some leadership, right, with Malachi Moore. And you're going to get Keon Sabb back. He's out right now. I think Coach DeBoer said that in his press conference yesterday. He's out. And you got, I think you got some experience back. You got Damani Jackson back, who's a freshman, the Xavier Brown.
Yep.
So you've got some pieces there. And I think I just think, where's the outside pressure going to come from? And I think that if they answer that, I think it could be a pretty productive unit this year.
How much more comfortable, and this might be difficult to answer, do you think the coaching staff is together in year two? Because, to me, taking something over like Kalen DeBoer, look, Kalen DeBoer is a professional. He's played for a national championship. But when you take over a program that has such a stamp, not only the historical stamp, but the stamp of Nick Saban, I think any and everyone would almost move on eggshells. So you just wonder how different year 1 to year 2 is actually going to be for this staff.
Well, I think and you guys know this because you know him personally, but Kane Wommack's a confident guy. And I think he couldn't help but have been wobbled after a Vanderbilt game. I think anybody, even if they're most comfortable, like how could we not get off the field versus Vanderbilt?
Right.
And then Diego goes to do what he does, and you sort of get your legs back underneath you, and you finish the season strong. Is I think the best unit for Alabama last year. I think he's got a lot of swagger. And you bring in Jason Jones, who got played at Alabama. He's going to coach the defensive backs. He's from Tuscaloosa. Christian Robinson's back. Freddie Roach is back. So I think that unit, they're feeling good because they got a lot of pieces back on a defense that was the highest ranked defense since 2017 for Alabama. How could they not be feeling good?
Okay, so Bama and Bourbon always brought to you by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use that code NEXTROUND, 50% deposit, bonus up to $1,000. Very important code word NEXTROUND, mybookie.ag as we roll into March Madness. Yay, Alabama. How can people get all of this inside information that you guys are starting to churn out?
Yeah, great videos we got articles. We got more coming too. So yay-alabama.com. Be on the lookout. Maybe some more changes coming to our organization that we're excited about. So we're just trying to help Alabama as a whole, as an athletic department, not only survive the House settlement, which should be dropping here soon. I'm sure you've read some headlines about that. Basically revenue sharing. Helping Alabama not only survive that, but thrive in that post-world.
Hirsch the Horizon. Pick it up. Beverage Place, pink package, right off of Highway 280. Go see JJ Chan. Tell them the guys from Bama and Bourbon sent you. It's grown on me. So this is, like last season, we had a lot of the premier brands that I think everybody would know in the bourbon
legacy
world.
Brands, yeah.
Yeah, and these are a lot of, I guess we'll call them kind of startups, but hey.
They're the freshmen on the scene, right?
Okay, yeah. Hey, look, this one will play. So pick up a bottle of this. Special thanks to again, MyBookie, the fine folks at the Beverage Place, pink package. Use that promo code NEXTROUND, mybookie.ag, and check out Yay Alabama and all of Aaron's great work there. We'll be back next week. You guys have a wonderful week. I guess we'll be talking SEC basketball tournament and more spring training. That's coming up next week right here on Bama and Bourbon.